I'm hunting the area where the world record whitetail was taken.
I see something. I see something. There's a buck. He's huge. He's huge. That is a giant.
Winchester's Whitetail Revolution is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American Legend, Code Blue, perfecting the science of hunting, Winchester Repeating Arms, the guns that work, Redfield, the soul of the American hunter, and by Browning, the best there is.
Well, I'm really looking forward to going to Saskatchewan. How could you not be pumped about going to hunt world-class whitetail?
There's another doe. There's two does right there. So far, nothing but does, but that's a good sign. That's live bait. You never know when a big buck's gonna come in.
This week's host, Steve Stoltz, travels to the northern kingdom of whitetail in Saskatchewan, Canada, to hunt with Gary Purcell of Pike Lake Outfitters.
Well, I'm excited about going to Saskatchewan for one reason and one reason only. I'm hunting the area where the world record whitetail was taken, not far from where Gary Purcell Pike Lake Outfitters is at. If you're a whitetail hunter and you can't be excited about that, then you probably need to stay home.
The habitat in these areas are large boreal forests. On Crown land, we hunt where most of our hunts occur, but we also have the agricultural land and private land where we have permission to hunt on. And the deer get the best of the feed. They have good feed, goes the horns good. We have the genetics here. It produces trophy whitetail.
Jerry?
Hi, Steve.
Steve Stoltz.
Pleased to meet you.
My
Gary
pleasure,
Purcell.
man. I've talked to you enough on the phone. So your wife picked us up at the airport, and it's been kind of a long ride, but this is it. We're here. Well, the first day we arrived, of course, it was too late to go hunting. We needed to scout the next day, and that's exactly what Jerry did. Sometimes if you just spend a little bit more time developing a game plan, making sure everything's right, maybe it cost you a day of hunting, but you're setting yourself up for success, and that's what Jerry did with us. He showed us the different piece of properties that he had. He's got some diverse property, some's open, some is thick, and we had to develop a game plan to hunt both properties because my goal on this hunt, shoot an upper end deer. All right, Jerry, let's talk about this section of timber. I mean, this is kind of more open. Since all of, your timber is facing to the west, obviously if we have a westerly, northwesterly wind, we're good here.
Yep.
Which is what we're going to get.
Yeah,
we're
that's
going to
mostly
high pressure.
Yep.
I want to put out some mock scrapes, some drop time scent dispensers. Do you have an area in this timber that scrapes kind of show up every year?
Yeah.
Because I'll make mock scrapes, but I would rather put them on a scrape that's already established.
Yeah.
But that's what I'd like to do is get a drop time dispenser out. It worked for me last year.
Perfect. I hope it works this year.
Well, one of the things that I'm big on is scent. I use Code Blue scents religiously, but I asked Jerry, I said, can we get in these areas ahead of time and put out some scrape sites, either on mock scrapes or scrapes that are already established? And he just laughed. He said, I got plenty of scrapes you can put those drop time scent dispensers on. So that's what one of the game plans were for this thicker cover, was to try and get that doe estrus scent out ahead of time so we can start baiting these big bucks in with scent.
Oh yeah, here's a real good scrape right here. Look here. And scraping, see the licking branch. And I'm gonna put my rubber gloves on so I don't leave any scent. I did this last year in Alberta. If we remember last year's show, we had success pretty quick on the drop time.
Well, one of the toughest challenges for me as a Midwest hunter is coming up here in Saskatchewan and the different diversified terrain. It's thicker, it's gnarly, and then you have the open, so you have, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. But the difference between up here and what I'm used to is you don't have the little travel corridors and pinch points. I'm used to hunting farmland whitetails where they will travel and go through structure and go through pinch points. And the deer up here in Saskatchewan pose a lot tougher challenge by virtue of how they're traveling, because they're not going through those structures. They're not going through those pinch points and funnels that I'm used to. So it's going to be a tough hunt.
There you go. We're ready to rock. We got the doe estrus. We've got the video set. I'm going to turn a video on and we're going to get out of here. If a good mature buck smells this doe estrus, he's going to hang around here. Let me go turn the video on. We'll get out of here.
You know, Jerry, of course, showed us the day before the hunt all the different terrains and the different spots that he was going to hunt us. And that got us a little familiar with those places. And we needed that because we've never hunted these places before, never been there before. And I was really looking forward to getting started on the first day of the hunt in that big, heavier timber and start hitting some of those open spots, you know, glassing, looking, and mainly because we went in and got that drop time dispenser in the day before, I couldn't wait to get back in that area where those scrapes were.
I see something. I see something.
You could see the buck sign was all over the place.
There's a buck. He's huge. He's huge.
Steve Stoltz has a variety of terrains to hunt for big whitetail. But Mike Hanbeck knows one hunter who found two great deer in the same place on this buck of a lifetime.
You know, not many hunters make my buck of a lifetime segment even once. Canadian hunter Shane Goods now made it twice. A few years ago, I profiled the 170 class buck that Shane shot with his bow in his native Ontario. Well, guys, one day last October, he did it again. Shane ran his climber up the same tree where he shot his first dream buck. Spotted movement. Another giant was coming in, checking a doe. Shane grunted, and here he came. With the buck at 20 yards in closing, Shane grunted with his voice. Eh. The buck stopped, and his arrow was perked. What a buck, and even bigger than the first. He was a mainframe 10-pointer with 3 kickers, officially scored 176 green, and netted 171 and change non-typical. The deer field dressed a healthy 245. Not one, but 2 bucks of a lifetime from the same exact tree. I wouldn't put 3 monsters past this guy, so stay tuned. Man, that is an unbelievable story.
Learn more about Mike Hanbeck's Bucks of a Lifetime at versus.com.
Well, you know, here it is. You're up here in Saskatchewan, and, you know, I'm hunting not far here at Pike Lake Outfitters from where the world record typical whitetail was taken in Bigger, Saskatchewan. You know, so my expectations are really, really high.
Only 17 typical whitetail bucks have ever scored more than 200 Boone and Crockett points. Illinois had 2, Wisconsin, Missouri, and Iowa 1 each. Texas, none. Saskatchewan's had 5, including the world's record.
Like Jerry said, this first field, there's 2 openings in this block of timber. I can see it right here. It's right up ahead of us. I'm gonna go set up.
It's getting daylight. It's almost 8 o'clock or after, and we hadn't even got to the first open field yet to try and set up. And lo and behold, we came across a beautiful, big, huge, fresh-made scrape.
Look at this. Licking branch. We'll come back here if we don't kill one today, and we'll come back here later and put a drop time scent dispenser on here and bait them in with scent.
You could see the buck sign was all over the place. Rubs, scrapes, great place to set up. Nice open field, and Jerry said does love to come to that field and feed. So that was the first place we needed to set up and try to yank a big one out of the thick timber.
I'm gonna set up right here for a while. There's a rub right there. We got a fresh scrape right there, fresh line of rubs right here. Awesome.
Well, not knowing the timber that well, I wasn't too anxious to really move quickly in this block of timber. And so that first spot we're set up, and it looked beautiful. The buck sign was there, the rubs were there, scrapes, everything was there, tracks, deer droppings. I wanted to spend some time there. As time wore on, doing some calling, rattling, glassing, just trying to have a little patience, trying to see if I could get a doe to show up, maybe drag a big buck with her, or maybe rattle a big buck in. Eventually, it became apparent that it was time to move on and move on back in the thicker timber.
I'm gonna head on up this road, see if we can't get on a big one.
Well, when you walk into Jerry Purcell's and here at Pike Lake Outfitters, I mean, you can't help to be pumped. You know, I want to put a smack down on a really big buck, and to see those heads on the wall he has, 180, 190, 200 class whitetails hanging on the walls. You look through his photo album and see all the huge whitetails that different hunters have taken over the years. Well, if you're into big whitetails, you know this is the place to be when you see all those big heads on the wall, and I promise you, I am some kind of excited about being here. You know, after that first setup, it was time to make my way up to where I put that drop time scent dispenser the day before. I didn't want to move too fast. I didn't want to bump a big one, maybe bedded, or traveling through, checking for does, checking these doe beds.
Really starting to get in a lot of deer sign in here. And you know, deer sign is just like anything else. If it's fresh, like in this snow, and there's a lot of it, you're getting close to deer.
Well, as I got closer to that opening, I just come around a turn to where you could see down that opening, where the second opening that we stopped at to hunt. And luckily there was a doe already out and she didn't see me. And I was very fortunate that she didn't take off and run. When you have live bait, four-legged bait sitting right there, and it's November the 16th, you better stick around and spend some time there, because it's liable to meet a big buck not far behind.
There's a doe right here. That's the first deer we've seen all morning. I'm pumped. I'm gonna let her move on off, and then I'm gonna go up there and get set up in this opening. I'm gonna put a temptation out. Where the does are, big bucks have to be not too far. There's a buck. That is a giant.
Winchester's Whitetail Revolution is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American Legend, Code Blue, perfecting the science of hunting, Winchester Repeating Arms, the guns that work, Redfield, the soul of the American hunter, and by Browning, the best there is.
You know, my game plan was to put a Code Blue Temptation scent warmer out so that Code Blue doe ester scent could permeate through the area, and that might drag a big buck out. Also, I was going to do some rattling, some grunting, and see what might happen. I'll tell you what, the big bucks are here. Jerry's got them located, and this is one of the prime spots.
I can't believe how, I don't get to hunt in Canada very often. I hunted Alberta last year, and I can't believe how thick everything is. I mean, this is one of the only openings that I've found in this entire tract of timber that he's got, that these bucks located in. Jerry's got the bucks here at Pike Lake Outfitters, but it's up to us to get one killed, so hopefully we'll have some action in a little bit.
Well, it wasn't long, and out come some does.
There's a deer. Just stepped out right there. That's a doe. All right, she didn't see me. You never know when Big Boy's gonna be with her. Right there, right there. There's a buck right there. Oh, it's a little buck, little spike. Little spike. He's chasing him around. That's a good sign. One of those does might be in. He smells that temptation. He's all worked up. Look at him. There they go.
With all that deer activity right on that spot, I mean, that's the first time we saw any deer. Of course, when we got there, that doe was there. And then, more does showed up, and that little spike was chasing. We were getting some rut activity. When you're getting rut activity, you need to stay put. Of course, had that temptation out, putting that doe ester smell out, had the drop time scent dispenser out. They've been feeding right there. Sooner or later, I felt like this was the spot we were going to maybe pull a good one in.
There's a buck right out in the open. Oh, he's huge. He's huge. That is a giant. He's got great main beams. He's got great mass. I don't know what that deer is going to score, but that is a deer of a lifetime right there. Look at that buck. What a gorgeous buck. He's got his head down. I don't have a shot angle. I can't get my gun up right now. As soon as he makes his move, I'm going to move the gun. Okay, he's walking. There's my shot right there. There's my shot. Here goes. Here he goes, there he goes. He's going down. Yes!
That was awesome. Unbelievable. Giant. He fell right over here. Oh, wow. What can I say? We've hunted hard. It was the first morning here, but we put the drop time scent dispensers out, put the temptation out, and Jerry's had these big bucks located. And we're in Saskatchewan. We're hunting big giant whitetails. Finally outstepped that giant. And he is a whitetail that dreams are made of, I'll promise you. Let's go look at him. That was awesome. This is what you come to Saskatchewan for right here. I want to show you this. Look at this buck. Look at this. Unbelievable whitetail. And that 30-06 did the trick on this huge, probably 4.5, 5.5-year-old buck. He's everything. I mean, when I was sitting there watching him in that opening, I was having a heart attack because he was right there in front of me, 50, 60 yards in front of me, in the wide open. Phenomenal whitetail, that's all I can tell you. And I'm pumped, I'll promise you. A whitetail of a lifetime. Unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you, hunting up here with Jerry Purcell at Pike Lake Outfitters was a real treat. They treat you wonderful. His parents are just salt of the earth, home-cooked meals, wonderful lodging, great place to stay, and more importantly, phenomenal place to hunt. You get a deer that's 150, 60, 70 inches. In my case, I was fortunate enough to take a deer that's gonna score in the 160s, chance of a lifetime. What a wonderful, wonderful hunt here in Saskatchewan.
All whitetail, all the time.
Take him out. Take him.
On Versus.com and Versus On Demand.